starts up on.
So he also streams it to his main page.
Afterwards, who does your social media, like when they reply to people and answer people and all that stuff? Who does?
Me and Steve.
Oh, okay.
Had someone else answering on Instagram. Also, I hadn't been answering because I wasn't sure. What's going on, guys? We are live right now on the Gameday Sports Card YouTube page, and we're also going live in the Gameday Sports Card group. So make sure you join that. We'll try to get you approved quickly if you're not in there, and you can always go to the YouTube page. Go to YouTube and look up Gameday Sports Cards. Find the live video and check it out. The Gameday Huddle starts here in just a minute. I'm Steve. It's Jay over here.
What up?
Jimmy's hanging out with us.
What up?
We are ready to rock and roll, so make sure you come join us over there. Right now, we'll be live every Monday at 11 a.m. Come join the Gameday Huddle. We'll see you soon.
You're not nervous, are you, Jimmy? You were nervous first time you came on our, are you?
4,
You were-
3, 2.
You can get cool products, so make sure you check us out.
We are live.
We are live.
Las
All right.
Vegas, Nevada. What's up, fellas? How you
What's
guys
going on?
How you doing?
You know, another beautiful day here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We can't complain, right?
No.
It's gorgeous out, and it's not fair to tell people that because there's other parts of the country that it's not 75, 80.
It'll probably be
November 1st.
cold. It'll probably be cold though in a couple of weeks, and we'll go right back into being freezing outside. Freezing for us.
Last week it was cold for us. We had a little bit of wind, and it was like 65 degrees, and all of us came in here in sweaters and like complaining how cold it was. Right?
Where's the Game Day sweatshirts?
Yeah, that's what everyone was asking for last week. Where are the sweaters? For
Where
sure.
are they? Where are those sweaters at?
So here it is. This is our first podcast show, whatever we're going to call it. Starting out, we're going to do it every Monday, 11 a.m. We're going to come to you with sports knowledge, fantasy, sports cards, anything, any cool topics we talked about throughout the week. We'll kind of hit on everything and go from there. So you guys ready to go?
Investing. I'm excited for the investing part.
It's going to be fun. I think we're excited, and welcome to the Game Day Huddle, guys.
Absolutely.
All right, let's start out with some introductions first. So I'll start out with myself. My name is Jimmy. I'm the owner here at Gameday Sports Cards. I've been investing, or collecting, I should say, for almost my whole life. I've always been somewhat involved in the card world. Got really involved back in 2016 when I started
buying and selling collectible toys, cards, games, you name it, for about 27, 28 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
What about you, Jay?
Yeah, I actually have known Jimmy for quite a while. We actually met at our casino job that we both don't work at currently. So I actually started the card business back when I was a kid. Back when I was in high school, my parents owned a card shop here in Las Vegas. There was only a few of them in town, and by the time we sold the shop, there was about 20 in town.
What was the shop called?
A Grand Slam. Grand Slam baseball cards, yep.
Okay.
And it was back, this is all the way on the other side of town from us now. Obviously, we're across the street from the Raiders practice facility here. This is way far away, but that shop is long gone, and I decided to get back in the card business because it got hot again.
And it's fun, right?
It is fun.
It's something that every single day I wake up not having to go to work anymore. That's
Yeah.
one of the great things about my job and the career path that I chose over the last couple years is now I get to come do something that I actually love.
Right.
Something that I want to do. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk sports cards. I'm excited to talk sports. I'm hanging out with my buddies all day. That's all we do is
watching
talk crap.
sports.
Absolutely. Playing video games, talking crap, and that's like we've been doing this for 5 months now. The shop's been open.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about doing a show just like this. So I'm excited that we finally got it going.
Yeah, well, I am too, and I'm excited to be part of the team. Being over here gives me an opportunity to really delve into like my personal interests because I'm a big sports fan, and most people know that. And I've played sports for a long time, and all this, and so to have the opportunity to be over here, like you say, on a regular basis, to be able to talk with different people about sports, to be involved with the different events and do those things and everything. I'm real excited in this podcast. I look forward to you guys, and I'm excited with what we're going to bring to the huddle. And with that said, I kind of wanted to pose up. What did you guys see this last week that you really liked? Like what?
The first thing I want to talk about is obviously I'm the fantasy guy. I'm the one that's in multiple fantasy leagues, so I like to look at that angle. Football is my gig, although we do play basketball and baseball, just not as much as football. I mean, I'm talking 13 leagues I'm in currently.
Wow.
Most of them are Dynasty leagues. Redraft to me is a little more on the dead side because Dynasty is just where it's at. But the one thing I saw this week was Mike White, the New York Jets quarterback. Wow. He fills in last week for Zach Wilson, who got injured, but this was actually his first start. The guy threw for 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, 82% completion percentage. The guy absolutely annihilated, and this is all without Corey Davis.
And against Myles Garrett.
And he was playing against the Bengals this week.
Or no, he was playing against the Bengals this week. The Bengals front's good.
The Bengals haven't had a bad defense this year.
No.
The Bengals actually have a pretty good team this year, and you have Joe Burrow slanging things over there for the Cincinnati Bengals, and they were a 10.5-point favorite and lost. The Jets went in there and won the game. So to me, that was one of the biggest things I saw. Is there going to be a quarterback controversy brewing? I understand that Zach Wilson was a first-round pick. I get it. He plays a little reckless now, but he's young. He's their future. When he comes back, if Mike White blows up again on Thursday night versus the Colts, do they just sit him? Do they sit him when Wilson comes back?
100% Wilson goes back in there.
Slides right back in. So you're telling me Mike White can throw for 400 yards again on Thursday night, win the game against the Colts, and as soon as Zach Wilson gets back, they're like, here you go, Zach.
Mike White is not their future.
I understand he's not their future.
Zach Wilson. You don't throw him back out there if he's hurt. If he's back in 2 weeks and he needs a little more time, and White's actually performing, you let him keep playing. Now, if he continues and Wilson's out more than 1, 2, 3, now we're talking 4 or 5 weeks, and Mike White continues to do this for a longer, extended period of time. Now I think we're talking maybe there's a QB controversy, but until then, I really doubt that Zach Wilson has anything to worry about right now.
Right. Happened to Dwayne Haskins.
It did. But, and I look at it a little closer to the Brock Osweiler situation.
Yeah.
When Osweiler came in for Tebow, right?
Yeah.
Like, when he came in, like, he actually or I guess he came in for Manning, right? And Tebow came in for Osweiler.
Correct.
But when Osweiler came in, like he ran off all these games, and everybody started talking, ooh, this, that, the other. And in reality, that wasn't their sole focus. But if you have a chance to get your guy healthy, you take that opportunity in the NFL.
So now you think maybe he just sits a little bit longer.
I think so. Yeah,
Maybe Zach Wilson, they don't rush him back quite as quickly.
They definitely won't rush him back, especially if Thursday night when he plays the Colts, if he comes out and throws not even what he did this last
250.
Yeah, if he does 250, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, he'll continue to play for at least a couple weeks until Zach Wilson's back in there and is healthy enough to play without any worries.
And he might be a piece that they can use down the road. And I don't know what his contract is. I mean, this is also new because he kind of came out of left field.
I don't know what his contract looks like either, but he was a rookie in 2018 with the Cowboys, but he spent most of his time on the practice squad with both those teams, the Cowboys and the Jets.
Let's talk about an investment side with Mike White. Is that some guy that we should go out and buy his cards right now because he's had one hot game, or what's our options with this Mike White and his cards that are out there?
I say yes if you're looking for an immediate flip.
Okay.
And I think that is, and I call this the flavor of the week, right? It's like, what have you done for me lately, guy?
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, he's got a strong showing. You've got people that are interested in looking for him, especially when you think of the fan base, because the fan base is key here. It's the Jets fans. Because not necessarily the sports card guy that's 100% into sports cards and is like really going to say, okay, let me see what this guy does over 5 weeks. It's the Jets fan who just got excited on Sunday. Their team won a game they weren't supposed to win.
Correct.
And they won it with a guy that they didn't know was on the roster. So, so let's go out, let's get the jerseys, let's get that stuff. So, yeah, it's a good time to do it. Probably a better time for you to delve into your stuff that you have at home and say, hey, do I have a few cards from this guy? Can I turn this into my focus? That's probably the move here.
Which you probably do.
Especially if you're a Cowboys collector.
Yeah.
If you were finally... Thank God I can go back to watching basketball for a little bit. Yeah. They were so bad for so many years. We had a little run with Jeremy Lin and Lin Sanity when we all got excited as Knicks fans. We're like, oh, he's a savior. We're going to do great things. One and done. We're out. So now we got the Knicks. They're 5-1. We have a chance. We have guys that are playing out of their mind. We have Derrick Rose. Everybody thought he was done.
The dude retired, right?
Well, no, he was
going to retire.
He was literally living in injury city for the last 7 years because I feel like if the guy sneezed really hard, he was out for the next 2 weeks.
His tattoo game is on, though.
So his tattoo game is on fire, and the dude was a stud in Chicago, but he literally was getting hurt every single year, and so everyone kind of just pushed him to the side. He was never a bad basketball player. He was getting hit with injuries.
Right, and it's this team. They had that matchup with the Bulls, right? And it was kind of like the matchup of 4-1s at the time, or 4-0s at the time. And it was like, oh well, neither one of these have had a real tough schedule. But if you go back and you look at how these teams have won their games, it was impressive. And seeing guys, there's role players on this team. I mean, you've got Mitchell Robinson, right?
Yeah,
the dude's averaging like almost 9 rebounds a game. It's insane.
And
that's a huge. And a block a game.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to get 80 blocks this season.
And you have some young studs on the team that really don't know that they're not supposed to be good. You got Quickly and you got RJ Barrett. These guys, they don't know that the Knicks aren't good, but they do get to play in the Garden every week.
Yeah.
And they're feeling, that's one place that when you talk to any NBA guy and they talk about the place, the Mecca, the place they want to go play, they all talk Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
That's a place all hoopers look to and they're like, that's where I want to go and shine. So every night the other team's going to bring their A game just because, guess what? They're playing in the Garden.
That's why they are always featured on a holiday. It's the same thing with Boston, right? Those teams are always featured on a holiday.
And it doesn't matter what their record is. New York Knicks are always going to be on Christmas because of where they are. And not only that, but all those guys you just talked about can probably be had for pretty cheap as far as the sports card industry goes. Like, I don't think anybody is like astronomical at this point on the Knicks. Not even Julius Randle, who's leading the team in everything.
Yeah, Julius Randle's playing 30 minutes, averaging almost 30 points. Like, you could get his stuff super cheap right now.
Right.
You could go out and get his Prism PSA 10s, not the silvers, but just the regular base for less than $100.
Right.
And the guy's scoring 30 points a night.
Yeah, he'll probably be an all-star this year, and it looks as if they keep things up, they could be in the playoffs. I mean, they're in the East. So, like, you have a couple of powerhouse teams that they could sneak into that, top 6 spot.
Now, I just wonder if health is going to be a thing for them. because they are so young. So
Derrick
having
Rose.
and that like those couple of guys, if they stay healthy, I think is the key thing. And I mean, I guess we're talking about any team, right? If they stay healthy,
Yeah.
I mean, you think Golden State, right? Which that's phenomenal to me.
What
What
they're
they're doing,
Yeah.
literally without Wiseman, without Klay Thompson, like. There's literally one guy running the show and another one who just happens to pass the ball 5 or 6 times a game. And
That's it. That's all
right?
you need, really.
Like,
You need Curry to stay hot, and you need Klay Thompson when he comes back not to mess up the chemistry.
yeah, but the health and so I think, but I think there's some nice young players on this Knicks team. I think there's a chance, and when you're talking about from an investment standpoint, I think that you got a couple of guys there. That you can really, really get inexpensively right now and have some upside in, especially if one of those guys, they do make the playoffs, they do play in a big market. And again, that matters when you're talking about investing. It's all about the fan base. And when we talk about the Jets, we talk about the Knicks, we talk about these teams that have huge fan bases,
Right.
the Cowboys, the Cardinals in baseball, these teams that have big fan bases, there's always investment opportunity there. And I don't see why you couldn't in some of these.
Especially if they're cheap.
Yeah, and you could do the quick flip with them. It's not a long-term hold.
Nope.
Especially with the Knicks. Buy cheap now. They keep winning. Guess what? Every single week, their stuff's going to tick higher, 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 and higher.
Exactly.
Because there's going to be someone looking.
Yes.
you know?
What about it's World Series time?
It is.
And what happened last night?
I'll tell you, it's crazy to me. So this World Series, first off, I don't think anybody had it sketched this way in their book this year.
No.
Like it wasn't supposed to. The Astros were maybe supposed to be there just because it's the Astros, but everybody had thought they had fallen off. But if you look at how depleted that Braves roster is and how banged up, I mean, no Acuna, right?
Nope, that's their best player.
You
Right?
lost your
We all-
entire
their best
outfield.
player. Yeah.
You lost your entire starting outfield.
That's their best player,
right?
though.
But they made moves, and you got to give a lot of credit, to their front office for the moves that they made. During the midseason.
Yeah.
But let's not forget about the moves that the Astros made. They talked about it a little bit last night in the broadcast, how they kind of went out and they picked up, guys from Cleveland and guys from Miami midseason that had no postseason background.
Experience at all.
And here they are performing in the biggest moments. And I think you got to give a lot of credit last night to Dusty Baker, though. And that's because Dusty shook up the roster. You had a guy like Bregman. Bregman was like 1 for 11 or something like that.
Sometimes you have to do that, though. As a manager, you have to just not be the face of the franchise, but you have to, change things up. It wasn't working, so switch the lineup up. It wasn't working. You have to find something. Your back's against the wall. You lose the game, it's done. You're done. You're looking next year. So why not? Why not pull a move like that and just switch the lineup up and see what happens? What's the worst that happened? You lose. You were losing anyways. You were down 3-1.
Well, and he's definitely showing he's not scared. I mean, Dusty Baker, he pinch hit Greinke the other night, right?
Yeah.
He looked like a genius, though. He comes right in, base it.
Yeah.
Right, because he knows his roster. He knows his guys. He knows their strengths. He knows their weaknesses. You even think of as weird as it is, what was it? Marwin Gonzalez last night comes in and
Hits a pinch hit home run.
right, this dude is not been performing. He actually came back to the Astros this year. They picked him up basically for I don't know, maybe 24 baseballs and someone to throw a left-handed BP for a day.
Yeah.
That's literally what it was, and it is. But I will say this. As easy as it is, because we are a, what have you done for me today society, as easy as it is to look at last night's game and say, oh, the Astros are back, I wouldn't say that the Braves have fell off because they didn't stop hitting. And I think that's key. Usually when a team's defeated, they stop hitting. And last night, they kept hitting. They were still swinging the bat. They just didn't quite put it together, but they were still hitting. So
The problem was they went up 4-0.
Right.
I knew once they went up 4-0 in that first inning, I'm like, ooh boy, I don't like this for the Braves, because then they got complacent. You watch the guys, they kind of all when you're up 4-0, you think you're going to run away with it.
Well, especially
first.
the clinching game of the World Series, and they were up 4-0, and they only scored 1 run after that. Correct? Wasn't it 9-5 final?
9-5
so they
final.
scored 1 more run after that. So.
Well, and it was go-ahead run at the time because Freddie Freeman hit a solo shot when it was 4. Story of Morton going down and pitching on a broken leg, right, and striking people out on a broken leg.
Yeah.
And then you come back and you have the story of Anderson who threw 5 no-hit innings and got pulled.
Correct.
So I'd love to see
Still
another
good
start
at
from
that.
him, and he's going to be Game 7.
Yeah.
So in a perfect world, as just a general baseball fan, I think that's great.
Yeah.
But I would not sleep tomorrow night on the Braves. I think they have a chance to close it out
You think
tomorrow
they shut
night
it down
because you
tomorrow
got
in
short
Houston?
rest on Houston.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let's get right into what we have releasing this week. So each week we're going to talk about the upcoming products that are going to be coming out, anything that's new, hip, hop, whatever we in the card world that's coming out. This week, one of, I think, everybody's favorites. It comes in a briefcase, a big silver or black or blue or whatever color they want to come out with briefcase it is. It's flawless. You get 6 autographs per briefcase. The cases come with two briefcases in one case, so we'll do different breaks throughout the week. We're dropping the breaks at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, so tomorrow we'll start dropping those breaks unless the checklist does not come out. If the checklist does not come out, we will hold off and wait till the checklist comes out so we can price the teams accordingly.
What's cool though is you can look for these to know the time that the break's going to go up. And if you haven't joined one of the breaks, it's a good opportunity for you to start getting involved with it. A lot of times I see guys go, oh, well, I didn't see the break go up or whatever. Mm-hmm. And make sure on the group that you guys don't just follow, but make sure you clicking see first, because that's going to help you see the stuff. But we're giving you the information now. You're getting it now. You know that break is coming up. You can join that break. It's going to go.
Justin Herbert gets pulled, or the other day when you were pulling, you got a couple of kabooms out of, and you're supposed to be one case break. Yeah. So it's like that's what I'm saying. Like, I like watching that stuff, and I didn't even buy into any of the breaks. It's just fun to watch sometimes.
And that's one thing about Flawless. These cards, we're talking about some of these cards not worth hundreds, but we're talking about some of these cards worth thousands of dollars.
Correct.
It is the collegiate, so obviously the price is going to be a little bit less than what the NFL jerseys is going to be selling for into the break.
Yeah.
The Flawless NFL jersey product's you're going to pay 3 to 4 times more to get in those breaks because those cards sell for that much more. I do apologize if the feed does drop off. We will be posting up the live, the recording of this afterwards, because I just saw it dropped off for a second. We did just get new internet. It should be all fixed, hopefully, by Tuesday. So if it does drop off, I do apologize. We will post up the whole video live on our Facebook page and YouTube at the end of this as well.
Yeah, definitely. And watch that. You can always go back and watch these guys.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move into Jay's Fantasy Roundup.
Oh.
I love that we added Jamar Chase to that graphic with those grades. And then, of course, one of your guys is on there.
Yeah, one of my guys. That's the first guy we'll talk about, actually. Let's move right into the big injury with Derrick Henry. Obviously, you want to pull him out of your lineups. Originally, it was said that he's probably going to miss the entire year. Now it's come out that he's going to get foot surgery tomorrow. So that's going to be Tuesday. It's a 6 to 10 week, I guess you could say, guesstimation, because they don't really know how long he's going to be out. Best case scenario, 6 weeks. Worst case scenario, 10 weeks. You could have him for your fantasy playoffs, because you have to remember there's 17 weeks in the season now, so however your league constructed their playoffs, just put him on your IR, hope for the best. If it's a redraft league, you're probably going to drop the guy, but if it's Dynasty, you're obviously holding on to this guy. We knew it was kind of coming with the way they kind of use him. Like, they use him a lot. I was worried about it because I own him in multiple Dynasty leagues. Something else lined up for that. Another guy we want to talk about just real quick, not that you were going to win any championships with this guy, but Jameis Winston tore his ACL yesterday. Trevor Siemian came in and actually filled in nicely, did what they needed to do to win the game against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, but it really wasn't Tom Brady's fault per se. That defense is pretty bad, and they've gone through like 6 different starting lineup with their corners. So that's a team that you definitely can throw on. Tom Brady obviously tried to do too much and had very little time and threw that pick 6, which iced it. But that's another thing you want to look for is make sure you get Jameis Winston out of your lineups.
The problem with Winston, that injury, and the problem with that, I think, is the fact that you don't know who is going to be behind center.
Right. You don't know if it's going to be Taysom Hill, who is actually just coming back from injury as well, or do they roll with Trevor Siemian?
Yeah, he's in the COVID or in the concussion protocol.
Correct.
And it's been extended, so you kind of worry about a guy like that.
That's what I'm talking about. It's more one of those things where they're going to lean on the run game a lot heavier, and they just went out and got Mark Ingram back in New Orleans. He obviously doesn't have to learn a brand new playbook. He was there for years with Sean Payton, so he knew the playbook. He slid right into his old role. So you're going to see a lot more running, I think, out of that. And they should have Michael Thomas coming back in the next couple of weeks, but without a quarterback there, I don't know how that's going to look.
With Derrick Henry going down.
Yeah.
So they do have Jeremy McNichols, right?
Right.
And was their third down back. Now he's probably going to get forced into more of a more first, second, maybe third down role.
Prominent role for sure, yeah.
And
He's
then-
my number one waiver wire ad this week in fantasy is Jeremy McNichols if he's still out there.
And Darrington Evans, what's the call on him?
So he came back off the IR just last week, and before the game started, he got put back on the IR. Now, it's designated to return, so it doesn't mean he's out for the whole season, but it's going to be at least 3 weeks that he's out, Darrington Evans. So now they're looking at veterans to either bring into camp to try and sign off the street or to try and trade. There's a lot of guys that may be up for trade because the trade deadline's coming up, I think, on Thursday, so you do have time to make a quick trade here. One of the guys I brought in just today for a workout was Adrian Peterson, who's been basically sitting on his couch watching football.
What's your call with him? Pick him up or don't worry about him?
Old school guys will pick him up. Me personally, I'm not going to pick him up. That's just me personally. Like, he is 36 years old. I'm sure he's kept in good shape. I'd rather go for a guy like McNichols who knows the playbook. Adrian Peterson, you have to remember, he has to come in. He has to learn the playbook. And I don't have any faith in it.
Now the Ravens have some depth at running back, so they might be one of the teams that could move.
Well, that's
a
what they were
player,
saying. They were
right?
saying like Tyson Williams might be somebody that they go out and try to grab because he's obviously fallen out of favor with all the veterans they've signed in Baltimore. Or does Baltimore say, you know what, forget it. Like, we've had so many injuries here that we're not going to get rid of these guys. We're just going to keep what we have because we want to make sure that we're covered in case another injury does happen.
And I did see a rumor report. Now this is far-fetched, but that the Colts might be a trade partner with the Titans at the running back position.
With
Only 'cause
Marlon Mack?
Yeah, only because it could help them now, and it's not necessarily going to do anything but maybe bring back draft pick value to the Colts in this fashion with a team in division.
To me, a smarter move for the Tennessee Titans would be, instead of trying to give up draft capital or any kind of capital whatsoever and going on getting Marlon Mack, you go sign a guy like Jordan Wilkins, who just got released by the Indianapolis Colts. Literally minutes or hours before they played their game. So you go out and get Jordan Wilkins. Now, in his short career and his short playing time, he's averaged almost 5 yards a carry. He's at 4.9 yards a carry. You know, he knows that division. He'd be a guy that I can go and grab off of waivers, or if he passes through waivers, you go out and sign him dirt cheap if you're the Tennessee Titans, and then you bring that guy into camp. That's the way I would work it.
And you know he's already ready to play.
Correct.
He's
He's been working out all year.
On
Yep.
the team.
Yeah.
Not like a guy like Adrian Peterson. Yeah, we know he's in better shape than all of us.
Correct.
But is he in NFL ready, game ready shape? I
Correct.
doubt it.
And Jordan Wilkins he's been practicing the entire season. The last guy I'll mention before we move on here is just Calvin Ridley. We don't know a whole lot of his situation. It's mental health. He wrote a nice paragraph and actually shared it with all of his followers on Twitter, and obviously he told Atlanta Falcons thanking them. But he's going to step away. He said the last few weeks have been really rough on him. Didn't say what he was going through, but he wants to take some time away from football to get his mental health in check, which I applaud him for that. There's just no timetable, so we don't know anything. We don't know if he's coming back this year. Will he take the whole rest of the year off and come back next year? Is he done retiring? So that's a big, huge question mark that we don't know, because the replacements in Atlanta right now, with them losing Julio Jones to the Tennessee Titans early this season, it doesn't look good. You're talking about Russell Gage as probably being their number one guy, and you have the rookie tight end Kyle Pitts, obviously.
Which we did hit a kaboom of.
Boom.
They're going to call me Mr. Kaboom from now on. I hit so many kabooms this week.
Yes.
It's been impressive. We only got 3 cases in shop, so the most I should have got is 3.
Right.
We got 3 in one break.
Yeah.
1 half case.
I saw that.
This week was absolutely incredible. We had such a good time doing that absolute break. We will have more in the shop. I did just purchase some, so we will have some more in the shop here later this week.
What a fun product.
I know it was, and it was like selling like hotcakes too. I was watching the breaks, and I was like, man, this stuff's on fire, dude.
Yeah, those kabooms bring out the kid in everybody, I think.
Now, speaking of breaks, you got more big breaks this week, right?
Absolutely. Guess
This
what?
week's
One of
nuts.
our favorite. Dun, dun, dun. Inception Baseball. This is 2022 Inception Baseball. It has 1 autograph per box, 2 base cards. So it's hot, heavy, quick. We'll go through, it's a 16-box case. We'll rip through a case of it in, 15, 20 minutes. But you're going after all the big names. You're going after the Brian Hayeses. You're going after Austin Martin. And you can still get the vet autographs in it. That's what brings everybody around. Because those rookie heavy products, it's hard for everybody to get excited about, because if your team does not have a big time rookie in it, like Julio Rodriguez or one of these young studs like in Bowman Chrome with Christian Hernandez and the other guy for the Dodgers, I'm blanking on his name now. If if you don't have those guys, it makes it hard for the product because a lot of guys are like, I don't care.
Right.
But this, at least you have veteran autographs in it that you can get. You can still hit, the Ohtanis, the Trouts, the big names that you're looking for and make it actually a fun product for you and worth it.
Well, and it does, because if you have a team focus, this is a great type of item for you where you can focus on your team and then take advantage of that. I know I've done that in breaks before where, I'm telling everybody this, a Chargers fan, growing up, being a Chargers fan, like obviously it's been great the last couple of years.
Right.
But before that,
Herbert,
you weren't looking. So
it was
you were looking
wasteland.
so you were looking for those veterans and stuff to make it fun. And so these were the type of breaks that I wanted to get into. And this is great. And the product looks amazing. Like, it's a beautiful looking product. Like,
I feel like Bowman and Bowman Chrome, and they always do such a good job with even just their base stuff that it looks nice. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's all it's about. And then you add in the stuff like with the veteran autographs and everything like that. It makes it to where it's a really nice product.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see that.
All right, it's time for plus or minus. This is where we're going to go to and talk about the investment opportunities that we see in the week. Steve's got a couple pulled up for us that he likes this week. So what do you think, Steve?
Well, we're going to start with basketball. Basketball season just started, and it's kind of a time to get excited about guys. But what you get a chance to do is actually look at the off season and see what guys have done. Like, you hear all the knocks, and the first guy I want to talk about is Zion Williamson, right? Because you hear all the knocks. He come into camp overweight. They weren't real happy with that. Now he's still fighting with the injury, and timetables coming back. So you would think that Zion's stuff's down right now, but I actually think it's still trending down a little bit. Now, that doesn't mean that your Zion investment long-term isn't good. It just means that right now wouldn't be a time to go sell your Zion collection.
No, definitely not.
What you want to do here is you might actually wait a little while and maybe have a chance in the next month and a half to maybe even get a little bit more of the Zion stuff to bottom down. You're seeing things like the Prism base PSA 10s,
yes,
right? Those are selling right now for about $300, and I would speculate that probably in the next month and a half, you're going to be able to pick that card up probably between $225 and $250. So I would be looking for that type of action on a Zion, where I still want to wait for it to kind of trend down before I invest into it.
Because it's not at its lowest point, and that's what we kind of talked about off the air, is that stuff is not going to be at its lowest point. It's like the stock market. Like, you're waiting and you're kind of guessing is when will it hit that point to where I'm going to be a buyer.
Yeah, and the crazy cards, the one-of-ones and stuff like that, those aren't going to be touched because those aren't going to hit the market. Guys aren't going to put them out there. And if they do, they're not coming off the price. And I totally understand that because they're looking long-term.
Yes.
And you should too here. But in the case of Zion Williamson, I think right now, with what you see happening in basketball, you've got a chance to pick up some guys, and especially when you see guys like Ja Morant and having the seasons that they're having. Steph Curry's obviously, he's always hot, but now there's another reason to get excited about Steph, right? Yep. And even seeing a guy like LeBron being very solid and doing that, like, guys are looking at those opportunities. But I actually see one that I think is a really, really good chance right now. And in the last week, he's got about a 10% pickup, so he's still got a chance to really kind of jump on this. And this is the Miami Heat, Tyler Herro. He's a guy that kind of fell out of favor with a lot of collectors.
Yeah, he was hot for a while, and then all of a sudden it just cooled off big time last year.
Well, he went on that playoff run.
Yeah.
He was hot in the playoffs. Everybody's like, look at this guy. He's da-da-da-da. And then he come out and he just kind of stumbled. His career, he's averaging about 14 points a game, right? But this season already, he's averaging 22 points a game. Now, it's easy to look at a guy and say, oh, well, his stats are high, his scoring's higher, they're letting him touch the ball more, he's getting some more minutes.
He's having a good week, yeah.
Right. Normally you'd look at that, but I look at body of the work, and I really want to look at, and I'm going out of sport here, but when you look at Lamar Jackson, right, he was being knocked about his passing. This is 2 years ago, right? And he comes into camp, and everybody's like, he gained 30 pounds. Look at he thickened up. Oh, look at his feet. Oh, look what he's doing. And he put the work in the offseason, and it translated across the board in his game, not just the one thing, right? He a little more durable, stays in the pocket a little longer because of it. So now you take a guy like Herro and you look at it, he's averaging almost 2 more rebounds a game and 2 more assists a game. You know what that tells me? This guy put in the work.
In the offseason.
Yes. He realized that he needed to do work, whether it was he fell off the year before because he got complacent and was doing it before, or if it was now he realizes he needs to kick it into another gear. But just to put this into comparison, right? Right now, the Zion that we just talked about, you're going to buy a PSA 10 base Zion for $300. Mm-hmm. You can buy that same PSA 10 base Harrow for around $100.
Let's see.
Right here.
And this guy's trending heavy, man. So you got a chance to really catch this. And if he has corrected his game, if he's put in the work and he's going to get the minutes, and it looks like all those things are going to happen, and he's shown us he can stay healthy, I think he's a guy that you can invest into, and you can pick him up right now very inexpensively. Sit on him, let him make the All-Star team, or at least let him have his name thrown around as a potential All-Star, right? Maybe they make the playoffs again, which I think they're probably a playoff team in the East. They've got a chance to do that, right?
I think so too. I think not only the playoffs, but like you said, the All-Star recognition is like the more he's going to be on TV, the more it's going to catch viewers' attention, because you have the average basketball fan that will just watch the games that are on TNT and nothing else, and you have the ones that are diehards about their specific team. But the more this guy is on TV and he's getting those primetime games, and then he makes the playoffs or the All-Star game, it's just going to make it to where the cards skyrocket. So in your personal opinion, are you looking at Hero as someone that's like a quick flip, like at the end, like at this year, like you're trying to get double your money, triple your money, or are you holding on to him for future?
I think you're probably looking at like a 50 to 70% markup, return mid-season to end of year. I think they'll kind of balance and hold themselves out. A deep playoff run, that might give you a spike chance. But if you hold on to him for a little bit, and I think he's a hold, I think you can buy him cheap enough now. It's not going to break the bank for you to go out and buy a couple PSA 10, so even some silvers and pay a pretty good price for them. Pick those up and hold on to them and be able to then look down the road for a chance to move it. And if he stays consistent, we could start seeing his name mentioned a lot, because that's a really fun team, a really interesting organization to watch. And it's definitely in the basketball harems, the Miami Heat have been one of those staples that if they make runs to the playoffs, people pay attention.
A lot of popularity with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tyler fell into the Miami lifestyle. His rookie year, he comes out, he's hot, he's living in probably the second greatest city in the world, because I feel that Las Vegas is number one. But you're living in Miami. You're 21 years old.
South Beach.
South Beach. You got millions of dollars.
Yep.
I can see how you can get your mind tilted to different avenues and different stuff that you
nightclubs,
beaches, girls. Now you look at his lifestyle. He's got a fiance or a wife. He's got a kid on the way. He obviously put in the work in the off season. So I think you're absolutely right.
Well, and I think when you got someone like Jimmy Butler too there, that kind of has gone through the good and the bad, right? And has seen the ups and the downs of what this league can be. He probably has someone that he can lean on a little bit there. Which is a little surprising, because I don't think that many people have said there, and said lean on Jimmy Butler, but in reality, he's one of those guys that I think you could.
But at this age, yes, Jimmy Butler, yes. Earlier on, maybe not. But all apologies to Tyler Harrow if that is not the way it went with the nightclub. We didn't want to insinuate anything. If you're listening right now, Tyler, we're sorry. We're just trying to guess.
We're speculating value. We're speculating activities. Okay.
So all apologies, Tyler.
And we were talking about injuries earlier, and there was a scary one yesterday in the NFL, which is a guy that I think has really good investment potential right now, and that was Justin Jefferson. Right now. We're saying has a chance, and everybody's like, oh, I know about Justin Jefferson. Right. But the thing is with Justin Jefferson right now is everybody is so focused on Jamar Chase that they've kind of turned their eye away from Justin Jefferson right now. And I believe that he's got a really good potential for long-term investment. And he's a guy that I think that you really could. And we saw Kabooms get hit this week of his. Right here.
Well, there was two. There's a Kaboom, and there was the what was the other Justin Jefferson that pulled out of that? Ignite. Yeah.
A beautiful card, by the way.
Yeah, and that was out of the same case. But with the Justin Jefferson, I think it goes back to what you said earlier about the flavor of the week. Like Jamar Chase is the guy that's like absolutely on fire. So it's like, we're not going to forget about Justin Jefferson, but we're gonna put you on the back burner. You're now our side piece. You're not our main.
Let's perspective. And that's just how I see it. And I look purely at the investment, right? And I look at huge fan base with Minnesota. Whereas the Bengals, the Burrows back out and stuff, but there's not you don't have that fan base like you do with Minnesota Vikings, right?
They're diehards.
Right. Minnesota Vikings it doesn't matter. They're in.
Yeah.
But you look at something like, okay, you got the optic base, right? Of Justin Jefferson, right? And a PSA 10, you can pick this card up for around $150 right now. Okay? Nice card, great piece. And this is, but you go and you look at just the raw of Jamar Chase, just the raw, they're averaging around $150. Not even graded yet. So when you look at it from that standpoint, yes, he's having a great season, and we're talking about him because he's potential rookie of the year.
Yeah, offensive rookie of the year.
My argument's going to be Mac Jones. I'm going to argue Mac Jones all day. But at the end of the day, I just don't see how they're not closer in comparison in value.
Correct.
So that tells me that Justin Jefferson right now is just an incredible value. I think that's what we got to look for. And when you're investing, because I look at it that way, when you're investing into whatever memorabilia it is, it always has to be looked at, what is that potential investment value down the road? Not just today, not what he might do in 3 weeks, not, if he wins a Rookie of the Year. Sure, Chase wins a Rookie of the Year, his stuff's going to be good, it's going to be solid, and he's going to be hot, right? But Justin Jefferson has... He's proven it. He's consistent. He's considered one of the best route runners in football, right? And I think those really matter. And think about the shoes he filled.
Yes, that's key. Stephon Diggs leaves, right? and he goes on to Buffalo and becomes a stud in Buffalo there too. But I think that consistency, like you said, is the main thing to me, because you look at a guy like Justin Jefferson who's being consistent, but everyone looks at Chase as he's breaking records. Well, that touchdown rate, it's not sustainable. It's just not. You're not going to catch a touchdown or 2 touchdowns every single week. I don't care how good you are in the NFL. These teams adapt. These coaches adapt. And you're going to find towards the back end of the season, defensive coordinators are going to find a way to slow him down. And I'm not saying shut him down completely, but you're going to find a way to slow him down. And then you're going to see the touchdown rate drop. And it's still going to be a great season, and he still is in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. But like you said, Justin Jefferson is giving you that consistency week in, week out. This last week, he was only injured for a short time. He went into the blue medical tent, came right back out, and came into action. So it was a little bit of a scare, but he only had 2 catches for 21 yards and ended with 4 targets.
Was against Trayvon, though. He was
on Trayvon Diggs was on most of the game. So, you do have excuses for that, but like you said, the consistency is always there, because week in, week out, he's a top 12 wide receiver every single week, whereas Chase is just blowing up in the touchdowns, but there's going to be regression. He's not going to do that every game.
And that's what I kind of say, going back to all the investments that I have made in my time. I always tell everybody, stick to quarterbacks if you're looking for a long-term hold. If you're looking for short-term flips, then you go after other guys. You go after the running backs and wide receivers. Even in baseball, you can go after pitchers and that type of stuff, whoever's hot at the time.
Right.
The Houston Astros pitcher was on fire in the playoffs. Short-term flips. Buy them early, sell them later. They're short-term flips. Long-term holds, I always say hold the quarterbacks because they're going to hold the value the longest with any of the products, what you're buying.
Well, and speaking of that, the one last thing I wanted to touch on in this was, we didn't really talk about this much, was I really took some time and watched Justin Fields yesterday because I really wanted to see what he was. And what drives me nuts in this world, and I just don't understand it, he's fast. He had 100 rushing yards yesterday, right?
100 rushing yards, yep.
Right. He looked good throwing the ball, but if you go back and you watch it, there was 3 or 4 balls that he threw that were behind receivers who made plays for him, or he overthrew guys grossly, right? And I sit here and I look at the marketplace and I say, okay, people like Justin Fields because he's a Chicago Bear, right? And that's an exciting franchise and people are into that. And then the hated franchise of the Patriots. Right? Yeah. And you look at Mac Jones, and everybody's, of course, investing into Mac Jones and looking into Mac Jones. But do you know that those national treasures are comping side by side? Those downtowns are comping side by side between Mac Jones and Justin Fields.
Yeah.
It tells me, the market's telling us, and this is a great opportunity for you guys. If you were on the fence of investing into a big Mac Jones card, pull what?
No, don't
wait.
Yeah, jump on.
Pull the trigger now, because I'm telling you, 2 or 3 years from now, when you see some of these quarterbacks separate themselves, Herbert, Burrow separate themselves from everyone else in that class, you're going to see Mac Jones separate himself in this class, and I think you're going to have an opportunity to have a really solid investment long term.
I'll give you a quick little story about Justin Fields. So we're directly across the street from the Raiders practice facility. So we have some executives and some of the coaching staff and stuff come over, and one day we were sitting here, and a guy I don't want to spill it out who it was, but he's very high up in the Raiders organization, and he was he was at the combine working out with the athletes. They sat down with Justin Fields. So it was Gruden, this guy, and a couple other people on the Raiders staff that were in the room, and they were talking. He said that Justin Fields turned his back to them and got on his cell phone during their interview and started texting somebody while while the Las Vegas Raiders are interviewing you to be a quarterback for their franchise. You're going to turn your back and text somebody? It doesn't matter who you are. At that point, I lost all faith in Justin Fields. I would never buy his card. I would never do anything because obviously he does not have his priorities in the right mindset.
Yeah, and he's had some good weeks. So as far as if you're looking for a way to do it, this is what my advice would be: take your Justin Fields cards, especially if you've got big ones. Go ahead and move those
Quickly.
And put them into Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Right? Or go and buy a ton of Justin Jefferson, because I'm telling you right now, a year from now, I think you're going to see a good, nice uptick there and a chance to be able to move something.
The fields have dropped so low, though. Some of his base stuff. I'm not talking about the autos and the 101s, obviously, but some of his stuff, like our eBay store, the Gameday eBay store. I help with the shipping, and we must have sold 5, 6, 7 cards last week of Justin Fields before this game against the 49ers. So people are still investing in Fields, but it's because his prices are coming down, so now they feel comfortable in it. So it's not a guy that's completely dead, right? It's just a guy that you have to find that middle. You have to find where to invest in him and where to do it. And his cards are hot, but I think that you're right with the Mac Jones, is that's where it needs to be pumped into.
We're looking long term.
Yes.
And that's what I think is key.
The next product we want to talk about is one of everybody's favorite, Mosaic Basketball. It's releasing this week. It's one of those that you can chase the silvers, you can chase the parallels, you can chase the autos. There's one autograph per box. There's 5 silvers per box. You're going after all the big rookies. You're going after the LaMelos, the Anthony Edwards. You're going after, it's last year's draft class, so this product is going to be insane this year. LaMelo has gone absolutely nuts the first couple weeks of the season.
Yep.
Everybody that invested, I had a very big LaMelo card that I had a PSA 10 of. I actually moved off of it at the last show because he came out his first 2 games and 30 points. I'm like, perfect opportunity to get the highest value.
Can't get any higher than this.
I don't really watch a lot of basketball, so I said I'm going to get off of this. I traded it right into a nice Justin Herbert National Treasures booklet. I was super excited about. So I got off my LaMelo ball into Justin Herbert, but with Mosaic coming out this week, it's a great opportunity where you can pick up these cards. The silvers, the grading finally at PSA, they're finally getting their shit together. They're bringing the prices back down for us. So now we can get a card graded for $100 instead of $300 and waiting 6 months for it. We're getting it for $100 and we can get it in about 2 to 4 weeks. So that helps a product like Mosaic. Why? Because those are the products that we buy to get graded, to get that 2 and 3 times a bump.
Correct.
So we can get it a little bit higher value on the cards.
Well, and there's great secondary teams and players in this product, and I think that's what's big. Is it's not you got the Wisemans and the Halliburtons, and even you get into some of the lesser rookies that have huge followings, and even I think Devin Vessel right now is having a really, really solid season and has some really big interest in it. Yep. And this is going to be a chance to pick up some of that nice stuff from him. So I think that this is a great product for them.
Hold on to.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, the last product we have to talk about is going to be Topps Dynasty Baseball. It's one of those products that it's such high risk, high reward that you look at it every time, and I'm a buyer of it because I'm a degenerate. I love it. I'm like, what is $1,100 for one card? Screw it, let's go. I'm not going to, my kids won't eat this week. $1,100 on one card, but guess what? You can hit absolute monster stuff in this. Those MLB logo patches, 101s, You hit one of those of a Derek Jeter, a Mike Trout, these veteran guys, you're talking not just hundreds, you're talking thousands.
Yeah.
There's some of this stuff that's, you could go back and look on eBay, that's selling for $25,000, $30,000 for a one-on-one. The Topps Dynasty is probably not, if not the top product for Topps, it's one up. They got Definitive and a couple others that are pretty high up. But Topps Dynasty, it comes in case. It's beautiful cards. We will have some in the shop. We probably won't be doing many breaks on it because it's really high risk, high reward.
It's just so high price.
With only one card, it makes it tougher to get in the product when you're paying $1,200 for one card.
But if you want to, you could do a personal rip with Jay, and that would be cool. So you could set that up, and that would be really fun. And he's doing those at halftime on Monday Night Football, which tonight.
That's tonight. That's right in the middle of the Chiefs-Giants game, which your Giants are playing tonight. So most people will be tuned off the game at halftime.
He wants to know if his Knicks are playing tonight.
Yeah.
I'm a Raider fan now, so because we're here in Las Vegas. My Giants are terrible, yes. So I'm a Raider fan. We're 5-1?
Well, I mean, the Knicks are 5. The Knicks already have more wins than the Giants, and they just started their season.
That's rough. That's true. That's rough but true.
Well, guys, thank you very much for coming out. We appreciate you guys watching our first live show. I know it dropped off a couple times there in the middle, so we will post up the full video on YouTube and on Facebook so you guys can see it in its entirety. Also, we appreciate you guys stopping by. We'll have live breaks all week. Let us know if there's any product you're looking for. Jay's going to be on tonight, Monday night, halftime of the show, and any other things you guys want to add.
Man, just guys, get in on the different breaks that are happening, and even on the mixers. Like some of the mixers have been like really, really bountiful. There's been some really good stuff hit, and what a beautiful time to buy some great product, especially when you're talking about football and basketball. You have two really big classes of rookies and opportunities for sure.
Yeah, even if you miss out on getting the team you want, I still suggest going there and checking out the break because they're a lot of fun, and the stuff that comes out of it, it's going to make you want to get into the next one. And you'll be able to get into the next one as soon as it gets posted up. But yeah, if you miss out on your team, don't stress. Go check it out still.
And those personals with you, that's on Instagram. So Instagram Live, make sure you guys, if you haven't liked the Instagram page, do it. Make sure you like the Gameday Sports Cards Facebook page for the shop as well. Okay, so make sure you guys got all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. See you back next week, 11 o'clock.
All right, let's go monster hunting.
Halftime of Monday night, you can join us for Jay's Halftime Blitz, the sports card rip and ship show. You can get cool products, so make sure you check us out. Gameday Sports Cards. Let's go monster hunting.